Bree.
And I'm Evan.
And this is Reality Check TV. If you are new to our channel, here's where we discuss some of our favorite reality shows to watch together as a couple. So if you love reality TV like we do, please make sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that notification bell so you can get notified anytime we post a new review.
Quickly.
Yes. So we are back at it again for another Put a Ring on It review. This is like the semi-finale. We have one more episode left. Not until the finale. Actually, we only have the finale left. Mm-hmm. So we're down to the wire now, guys. And so we have our thoughts. This past weekend's episode was filled with a couple of different talking points that I think is going to really be leading our discussion today. So I hope you're ready, as always. You ready?
Are they ready?
Okay. I think they're ready. Let's get to it. So this episode picks up, of course, as always, where the last one left off. Mm-hmm. And we're talking to Jaysha and Joya, but more so Jaysha. Last episode or last weekend, the episode ended with him shedding a few tears and like really getting emotional, and like he had me in my feelings, like that was my man. But he was really overwhelmed and just was able to just show his vulnerability and just his frustration as well. The topic was more of Joya explaining her love language and how, just really wanting Jaysha to be a little bit more intentional with gift giving and just their relationship as a whole. And her last sentence was, it's not... Jaysha's good at giving big gifts and doing these big experiences, but it's like the small intentional things that really do matter and really touch her heart. And Jaysha got emotional about it because he just felt like, I try so hard to make her happy and it just seems like what I'm doing isn't good enough. And Dr. Stacy, everybody in the room, because I think everybody's just invested in Jaysha and Joya and them winning. We love them as a couple. And Dr. Stacy said that, like, she's like, I'm team Jaysha and Joya. Like, I want you guys to win. So all it is just figuring out, Jaysha, what are you going to do to make sure Joya is happy? And this is what Dr. Stacy is saying. And she even puts out a few suggestions as far as like, is it a matter of putting it down on a calendar as far as like your intimate time, or not intimate time, but more moments for you guys to just be with each other and really dive into that romance, and really just be with each other and have an opportunity to be intentional. So she was just giving out suggestions on what exactly can we do to make sure that she stays happy. And Jaysha was all ears. As emotional as he got, he was definitely open to new suggestions because I feel like he's super dedicated to his relationship and to Joya specifically. And you can tell he just wants to get it right. And I think his tears really came out of just frustration because he felt like he was doing it right. And he is. It's just a critique. And I think that's where Joya was coming from. Like, these are the things that I want and that I know can make our relationship stronger. So that was that. How did you feel about it, from a man's perspective? And, did you relate? Did you understand where Dr. Stacy was coming from? Do you understand how Jaysha's feeling? Like, what do you think?
I understand I understand where Jaysha's coming from, from a man's perspective, when you feel like you're doing literally everything asked of you and all you can do, and you're being told that. I think what Jaysha was feeling, that not enough ordeal. Like, he felt like he was doing everything needed to make her happy and everything that he said he was going to do for her. But when So for him, he feels like he's doing the right things, but I feel like he was a little shocked when she said that because he got caught off guard. Like, what do you mean? Like, I've done this, I've done that, and I think for him, he kind of had a lost moment where it's like, I don't get it. Like, what do you need? Like, you told me to do this, I did that. You told me to do that, I did that. But like I said, I get though what Dr. Stacy's saying. You know, when Joya talked about he does these extravagant trips and stuff. At the end of the day, that trip's for both of them to enjoy. It's not just for her to enjoy. And I think what she's trying to let him know is too that yes, the trips, the big things, those are nice, but don't forget about the small things. The small things go a long way, just like some of the big things. And she wants him to put more thought and more magnitude into the things he does.
Yeah. Do you like relate to anything like that from like just more from Jasha's point of view?
I do. When he was saying that, I do because you know, as myself as a guy, you really try to take notes. You really try to be attentive. You really try to observe. Just try to do things for your partner. And when you feel like, aha, I did it. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. I feel like I'm getting it right. But then, for him to hear that, it kind of makes you kind of take a step back and be like, hold on, like I thought I was doing this right. Like you think you're going in the right direction, but at the end of the day, you're hearing from your partner, no, this is still not happening, or I still need this. It kind of has you with that thing like, okay, like as a guy, it kind of feels like you're failing a little bit, and as a guy, you don't want to feel like you're failing your partner. So it does make you want to do more, and it does kind of, I don't know, kind of hits you upside the head. It kind of wakes you up a little bit.
Like I totally feel like with when it comes to this particular topic with Jasha and Joya, it's just really understanding each other's love languages, um, and not just knowing, not just identifying it, right? Like I feel like most people that are dating today in this new age of dating that really is dating with a purpose. I feel like the topic of love languages come up, right? Like, what's your love language? What's my love language? And all of this other stuff. But once somebody tells you, my thing is do you really understand the meaning of it? And so Joya mentioned in the last episode how her love language is gift giving. Now, on the surface, you're like, okay, so I just have to give you gifts. I just have to give you gifts. But there's a deeper meaning to it, and if you really know the meaning of each love languages, the five love languages, I feel like people just Google. That's just what they do. They just Google and get the very like, surface definition without really digging deeper. I mean, they actually have a whole book on the five love languages. And I feel like people skip the part of reading it or really just diving in and what each love language really means and its roots, and also how to reciprocate and make sure you are responding, I guess would be the best term, to your partner's love language, right? So if your love language is gift giving and mine is physical touch, okay, we've identified what our love languages are, but like now, am I, if yours is gift giving, do I know how to give gifts in the way that you need, or physical touch? Um, do you know how to give that? Do you know how to receive it? Do you know how to reciprocate that? So I think it's just a matter of digging deeper. Everything's just so surface now. Everything's so surface, and I feel like you need to have really in-depth conversations as a couple to get to the next level in your relationship. But my opinion. So Joya, I y'all hear it on the tip of my tongue. I always want to say Jasha when it's supposed to be Joya, or Joya when it's supposed to be Jasha. They names too similar. But anyways, Joya decided not to go on a third date with Luther. I can't say that I'm super shocked. I think we all thought she would because of how the date was going. But when I really think about it, I'm not super shocked because Joya is there for Jasha. She's really not interested in dating anybody else. She's really going on these dates to learn more about her and how to articulate her feelings to Jasha. And same thing for Jasha. Jasha is not interested in dating someone else. They really, what I feel, just watching them, they are so invested in their relationship and has really went through this process with trying to learn more about themselves and how to better themselves for their relationship and how to make their relationship stronger. So I'm not really shocked that she chose not to go on a third date when you really think about it.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting her to. I felt like she really did. Um, well, when they saw Dr. Stacy and she talked about how the date went, and she really went into detail. And I don't think it was Jasha breaking down, but I think it's the fact of I felt like she felt like he now got what she was coming from about what she needs and what she wanted.
Mm,
And I feel like due to she feels like he's aware of that now,
mm,
I feel like that's all she needed to see right there.
mm, mm. Yeah, yeah. Yes, I agree. Okay, so this week it seems like only two people are actually going out on a date, and that's Catherine and Jasmine. So they are going to be focusing on the future, right? So the theme for this week is the guys are going to go try on tuxedos, and the women are going to go look at wedding venues, or I'll say one wedding venue, and have their little, powwow and their conversation, both the men and the women. So that's really like the focus this week. Um, and so I think we should just keep on with the Jasha Joya train since it started with them. So let's stick with them because y'all know how we do. We put a ring on it. We like to go couple by couple and not necessarily in order of events. So we'll start with Jasha and Joya. We rarely start with them, so let's go with that. Okay. Okay. So Joya is having a one-on-one with Dr. Stacy. So Dr. Stacy comes over to Jasha and Joya's apartment, and they have a woman's discussion. Now, guys, if I'm being honest, I'm gonna be vulnerable with you guys for a second. I am, because I had a hard time with this scene. Like, I had an emotional response, right? Like, I know y'all be watching stuff sometimes and be like, was that like a personal attack on me? like, is God trying to tell me something right now? Um, so basically, Dr. Stacy wants to talk to Joya about her infamous timeline, right? Since Joya and Jasha was introduced this season, one of the biggest issues is this timeline. Joya wants to be married at a specific time because she wants to have a baby before she's 30. Now, this has been said all season. I mean,
40.
before she's 40.
40.
Sorry, before she's 40. So, this has been the topic of discussion all season. And it's only like right that we have this discussion finally. And Dr. Stacy asked her, like, so tell me more about this timeline and what is it? And what's the reasoning behind it? Um, and Joya says, like, I want to have a baby before I'm 40 for a couple of reasons. One, I'm 38 now. She already has, I believe her son is 12. And either 12 or 11 or 12. It's one of the two. And she mentioned how her son right now is at an age where he's like, I want to have a baby brother, a baby sister, like, I want a sibling. And her fear is if she goes with Jasha's supposed timeline of like 4 years of actually having the discussion to have a baby, then her son would probably be like 15, 16, and like he's gonna be out doing his teenage things, and like he's not gonna be worried about no sibling. Like he's not gonna be worried about that. On top of that, she brought up the fact that she is a woman of a particular age, and that the longer she waits, the more she's putting her body at risk of actually having a child naturally. So those were the two key points. And I think that she had mentioned that multiple times before, just throughout the season. But just as a woman watching the show, I think we kind of assumed those could be possibly the two main reasons of her wanting to have another child before the age of 40. Um, this is where it gets personal because Dr. Stacy's response, because y'all know I like to write it down, was she picked up on Joya speaking in definitives. That's how Dr. Stacy put it. Like everything is her creating her own narrative of what the future is going to be. And how she needs to surrender. And right now she's out of flow. She's out of flow, and her man, meaning Jasha, is in flow. He's a guy that just kind of goes with the flow and goes with what comes naturally. And so with her being out of flow, they're not aligned. And on top of that, Dr. Stacy brings up another acronym because I love her acronyms, but she brings up SOB, surrender, allow, be, and recommends that that's what Joya needs to do. She needs to be able to live in the moment, not be a victim to a timeline, an imaginary timeline that you've created. And if you allow yourself to surrender and be in that moment, things will naturally kind of fall into place, right? What Dr. Stacy was saying when I first watched the episode, I felt away. I felt away because what I heard in the moment was more of, you have to surrender yourself to this man and completely reject your wants and your desires as a woman that wants to be a mom, that wants to be married, like all of these things that you saw for yourself and your future. Like you need to put all of that on the back burner, and you need to prioritize him and surrender yourself to him, and just kind of hope that he will then one day ask you to marry him, and then you guys can then work on a baby. You need to go on his timeline. So basically forget your timeline and go with his timeline. That's what I heard, right? In the moment.
That's interesting.
In the moment. That's how I received it. And I'm being honest with you guys. I'm being honest.
Hmm.
So I felt away because I feel like as women, we get it from both ends. I feel like we are constantly pushed to have babies, get married, do this career thing, do a whole bunch of different things, and you're supposed to be on this timeline. Like by time, and every woman knows that by the time you hit like 28, that's when the conversations are starting to happen, whether it's in your family or friend groups or whatever. It's like, okay, so like, when are you gonna get married? They ask us these questions as if we have full control over us getting married, especially if we're not in relationships. So I feel like we get the pressure of that. And then if you're a woman like me that comes from a family full of independent women, and majority of them are single, um, it's been very career. Like it's career, 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 career. Forget this man. It's career, 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 career. And you need to do this in your career by this age, do this by this, do this by that. So everything is timeline, right? And then on the flip side, the other extreme is what I feel like is currently happening is people pushing women within their 30s and their 40s and saying like, oh, you have all of this time. We have all of these resources these days where you don't have to have a baby at this particular time. Push it off. Don't have a baby in your 20s. Don't have a baby in your 30s. Have a baby once you've made it in your career. And I feel like it is pressure from both sides. This is for me, right? This is my life. And for me, my whole life, I have, not my whole life, but from the age of 16, I have been so hard on myself with creating timelines for my life. Like, I had an idea of what 18 looks like and what I'm supposed to be doing at 18. I had an idea of what 21 looks like and what I'm supposed to be doing at 21. Same thing with 25. And now I'm 29 and I'm knocking at 30. And the amount of pressure and the amount of anxiety um, that I am feeling from society, from my family, from relationships, like it's very overwhelming. And I think that it's less, and I'm not gonna say less, I think that it's a combination of not only the people that's in our life and in our circle, but also society. Like, society also has different things that is connected to age. Like, when you're 18, you are legally able to vote. There's an idea of what 18 looks like and what you're supposed to be doing. So at 18, you're supposed to be voting. At 21, I can get into this club, right? So there's an idea for that too. And that's just an example. There's other things that come along with that. I mean, at 25, I think it's 25, you can rent a car. Um, there's, we put timelines as a society with age. Like, it's connected. And to try to undo that is hard. It's hard. I mean, you're shaking your head and I'm explaining, from me.
You
And
said
so,
you said for society we,
yeah.
and I'm shaking my head because I'm on the other side of that. You know, time all timelines are gonna do is bring you disappointment if you don't meet what you feel you should be meeting at that certain time.
Mhm.
Not everything you're not gonna get what everybody else gets at a certain age. Your time will come.
Right.
And the thing is, all you're doing, you talk about pressure, and to be honest with you, everything you just described is self-induced.
I mean,
It's self
yes and
it's it
no.
no, it's self-induced because you're talking about um 18, 22, 25 pressure of family, pressure of friends. At the end of the day, this is your life. And
And
and hold on.
that sounds great.
Hold on.
Okay.
This is your life. Like your your mom, aunts, cousins, everybody's run their race. You have your own race to run. You're not everybody gets to the finish line at different times.
And that sounds really great for a man. Cause let
No,
me no,
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 no, I know what
hold
you're about to say.
on.
I know what you're about
No,
to
hold
say.
on,
I know
hold
what you're about
on.
to say.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
Back to this thing about pressures again, married and having kids. Yes, let's all be honest. Men and women are on different time frames because men can have kids at 100 for Christ's sakes.
No, what I was going to say is I'm talking about how we are raised in this society. We are raised completely different. You guys are not pushed with any type of timeline or what you're supposed to do. I mean, this is it's like such a cliche um thing to say, but I will say, I mean, from the time little girls are able to walk and talk, we are handed baby dolls. We are handed kitchen sets.
Hmm.
We are handed certain things that is supposed to mold us into what we are supposed to be. And then there are conversations that us as women that you guys are not privy to, and there's certain societal pressures that we constantly have to face, and it is connected to time. And as much as I hear what you're saying, I agree what you're saying, right? Like, I want to be set free of the chains of time and putting that amount of pressure on myself. But what I'm saying is is that it's very hard to undo because this is how we were raised and what the picture is, and social media does not help at all. But I hear what you're saying. It is completely different, and you can see it when using the example of Jasha and Joya, with him, let's take our time, we got 4 years. And she's instantly, what she's thinking about when it comes to having a child, she's like, oh, my body's not going to, I might have complications, my body might not do what it's
Mm-hmm.
doing now in 4 years, based
Right.
off of your timeline. Because with him, it came easy to say, we could just do this in 4 years, like, because that's the male mentality. Y'all don't have to think of it that way. And as much as we can tell you, and you can say, oh, I see, I hear what you're saying, I don't think you understand, not just you, but I don't think y'all understand the feeling of it. Like, it's a lot. And I will say, as much as I try to go against it, I think this has been the hardest part, right? Like, I talked about 21, I talked about 25, because I went through this throughout my whole 20s. Now that I'm 29 and I'm now looking back, I think you naturally look back at your 20s and where you were and what you're doing now. And I see the amount of pressure I put on myself and did not enjoy certain moments and made certain decisions, bad decisions, when it comes to choosing partners and being in really jacked up relationships because of timelines and ideas and thinking you can change a person and all of these other things that go into it.
Well, I think that's very interesting because, I mean, when it comes to, you talk about society, expectations and stuff, at the end of the day, as soon as you become an adult, it's your life. Like, I don't know, I just think it's funny. I have friends, guys and girls, that are literally the opposite of what you're talking about.
And yeah, I said me. I'm not even
And
trying to speak for all of y'all.
and
I
it's one of those
said
things
me.
where,
But I know I'm not alone.
no, there's some, but I said I have friends on the opposite end of that, and like female friends too, where it's like I've known them since college. I never, when we've talked about real things, I never heard them talk about timelines. They said it'd be nice to do something by this time, but if it comes, it comes. Um, like I said, I want to know people, folks. Society does not impact me. I'm not trying to fulfill society.
You can't
Um,
say that society doesn't impact you
No,
in
when I say
any
that, I'm
way.
saying I'm not trying to fulfill like what they feel we should be doing at a certain age, how they define success. That's society. I'm my own person.
I agree with that.
And I've never been a timeline person. I feel like naturally, when I have my shit together, I'm good spiritually, mentally. I'm big on my faith. I feel like that's when my time's supposed to come because I've aligned everything. You know?
So that's how I was feeling when Dr. Stacy was talking to Joya. I felt a way. Like, I was really like, I just completely disagree. I felt like it was definitely, it definitely felt like it was like, forget what you want and go with his timeline. And I also felt like, I deal in reality. And I'm like, yeah, reality is, you when you hit a certain age, there is a possibility, a high possibility, that it will be complications physically. The toll that it takes on your body. And I'm also, this is going in a different direction, but I will also say that I feel like nowadays with these reality shows where there's a all female, like, ensemble cast, we're seeing a lot of women doing the surrogate thing, right? And I think that the way that we are seeing it so much now on TV, in the media, on social media, I feel like it is putting out a narrative that this is so easy to obtain, when in reality, that is a luxury. To get a surrogate, not only financially is it a lot, and not everybody has access to that, but also Like, I mean, side note, like what the Brat and Judy, y'all know who the Brat is. I'm gonna assume y'all know who the Brat is, and y'all know that she's pregnant. In the whole saga from a couple of weeks ago with her trying to find a black donor, and they got a black backlash based off of some comments that was made. Whatever. The point is, they came out and said that trying to find a black donor was like damn near impossible, especially trying to find one that didn't have a history of different health conditions that would conflict with Judy. And so these are just different things that I don't feel like people consider all the way. So that was also another thing. Like, I feel like people say it's so easy. Oh, you can just get a surrogate, or you could just do this. You could just freeze your eggs. Like, it's like these things are just so easy. That's how I was feeling when I saw the episode. But then this morning, y'all, I talked to my therapist, and we talked about this because it really hit me personally. And my therapist said exactly what Dr. Stacey said. She was like, Brianna, you have to surrender. Like, you have to stop putting this amount of pressure on yourself. And she asked me the question of, let's say you have this timeline. Well, think about the things that you're missing out because you're trying to stick to this timeline. Like, think about all the things that you're missing by not being in the moment, and not experiencing all of the beauty that life has to offer in present day. And also talked about, well, what do you really want? Because we came to the conclusion, and I recognized that, okay, let's say I meet the timeline, but what if I really didn't want that in the moment? So let's say, this is not my timeline, but let's just say I'm like, I want to have a baby by the time I'm 32. Well, what happens if I'm 32 and I'm not ready to have a baby, but I had the baby, but I wasn't ready to be a mom? And that did make me think. So that was some self-reflection that I was doing. So thank you guys for for listening.
You know, you too. I think it's so funny. Lily, what her therapist told, I've told her many times. And I'm a free person over here. You're paying the therapist, and I'm here for it.
Wow. So I should just stop going to therapy. I should just
No,
start.
but I said that YouTube. I've told her so many times. I told her so many times about putting this stuff on herself because all it's doing is adding pressure and a sense of disappointment if you don't meet it, which equals stress.
And depression and a bunch of
And
other different things that I recognize now. But life is a journey, guys. So we're all figuring it out. We're all figuring out. But I'm sharing this with you guys because I also want to draw the connection, like, when watching these reality shows, like, you have all the laughs and the drama and all this other stuff, but sometimes there can be some gems in there. And Dr. Stacy, shout out to you. This was really for Dr. Stacy, because that really hit me. This is the second time that she has had a one-on-one with someone and said something that really hit me personally. The sob acronym, and then the fear one from weeks ago, which she says stands for false evidence appearing real. Like, I have kept that in my head and have really been self-reflecting on that since she said it. So we love you, Dr. Stacy. I hope you stay around, because this has been some like free gems. And I appreciate that. I appreciate that. And shout out to Joya too. Because Joya, you and I are here. And I've said that from the very beginning. But I got you. So back to Joya. Once Dr. Stacy gave her aha moment, Joya said, like, she is ready to do that. She's ready to take her deep breath and surrender to life, and not just so much Jasha, but just life, and really be open to what life has to offer her at the right time. Beautiful moment. Beautiful moment.
so Jasha actually set up a surprise dinner date for Joya. in which he first made it seem like they're going out to a restaurant and going out to eat somewhere. But actually, and I don't know if it was an Airbnb, it could have been an Airbnb, but it was another spot in which he hired a private chef. He had the place decked out, he had the roses on the table, he had the candles, and he had her favorite meal, which was salmon, along with asparagus over it with yellow rice. And she was very surprised. And it was the fact of him listening, going outside the box, thinking of magnitude, and thinking about a way to make her feel special, of something just for her that had her glistening. What do you think of the date?
I mean, I think it was perfect. I was I was like, of course Joya loves it, cuz I would love it. It was very thoughtful, and like she said, it was exactly the type of thing or experience that she's been yearning for. Like, it wasn't too big, but it was something so
Personal.
small and personal that I'm pretty sure she'll never forget. Um and it he just put a lot of thought into it, as down to it being her favorite meal. And like,
Mm-hmm.
he had, I believe that the private chef was um a Jamaican chef
Caribbean
or
Jamaican. Yeah.
Caribbean chef. So like, down to that, right? Because we know that Joya has a Caribbean background. Like, her family is Jamaican. So it's those little details. These are things that um I ask for. So I completely understand what Joy was saying from the very beginning and what she was really looking for. And this hit it right on the head. Jaysha don't be disappointing. Jaysha definitely comes off as the type of person where he is just willing to learn and listen and just do better and grow. But the real gem of that dinner date was that Jaysha asked Joya, so what's the age again for delivery for a baby? And she said 40. Like, I want to deliver before 40. And then he said, I will make that happen. We can make that happen. We're gonna make that happen. And she said before 40. And he was like, before 40. Which means he's definitely going to propose at the end of the season. We already know. And I'm going to assume she's going to probably be pregnant at this reunion.
Most likely.
So, and that would just be like a perfect. Not because it's a timeline, guys, but because I just truly do feel the love between the two. And I truly do think that they are ready. Out of all three couples, that's the couple that I definitely feel like is ready.
Okay, so we're gonna next start with Zay and Jasmine. And Jasmine was actually one of the people that went on a second date this week.
Yeah.
I believe his name was
Josie?
Josie, I believe.
Josie, yeah.
So they met up out to eat. And I honestly feel like this date kind of was really more of I guess I would say a deal sealer. And that's, yeah, deal sealer, yeah. When I say that, because she let it be known that she just saw this as a friendship.
Yeah.
Um, and I saw it coming, to be honest with you. I feel like she's stuck on Zay, the things that she wants to change, which is like communication and whatnot. I mean, that's her biggest concern. It's one of those things where she just feels like, is this gonna change or no? Like, even if we get married, is it still gonna be there? Um, Josie, yes, I feel like she sparked a little interest with him, but I don't feel he mentally can take Zay off her mind. I mean, yeah, she did make a little comment too that if Zay was not in the picture, he would be somebody that she would talk to. But I just feel like, and I felt like that since the first date they went on. I was like, he'll get a second one, but I just truly feel like she's still stuck on Zay. Um, how'd you feel their date went?
It wasn't a date. One thing you did mention was she flat out asked Josie if she could be his client. I forgot what Josie did. I'm sorry, guys.
Zay to be his client.
No, for Jasmine to be his client.
Really?
Yeah. She said, I want to be your client. I forget what Josie does because I erased my notes from last week. But I'm going to say, but don't quote me on this. I think it's like something dealing with finance, something with that. Because when she came into the date, she was saying how, like, she's been working hard and dealing with her staff and just the pressure of owning her own business.
Yeah.
And he gave her great entrepreneurial advice. Like, you have a staff, you became a business owner, you became an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
So you can make the calls, so you can have a staff and people can do the things that you pay them to do. And it does take it's supposed to take a load off of your plate. Like, you're not supposed to be working yourself harder.
Right.
So I thought it was interesting. So I didn't really feel like it was a date. I agree. I agree with you with saying like it kind of just like sealed the deal. But it was definitely feeling like just two friends talking. I'm not gonna lie. When I saw Josie this time, I was like, why he look cuter this time? I don't know. Something was happening. But he looked cuter this time. So yeah, Jasmine decided to just be friends or be his client. So it is what it is. Not much from that.
And I believe Zay was this week. His assignment was to just key on his relationship.
Yeah, like we didn't have like a one-on-one with him. All of the guys did go tuxedo shopping, like we mentioned at the beginning. So and there wasn't really much there. He was, I think, all of the guys. This is why I wasn't really gonna mention it. Was just talking about how good they look in the tux and just talking about whether if they're ready or not. And Zay, do you even remember what Zay said?
Yeah, he feels like he's what did he say? 97, 98% sure, but he claimed that 2 and 3% could be big.
He did say that.
But Zay said that after he put that tux on, talking about how good he looked. I know Zay's a wild card. I mentioned it before. Like sometimes it's just hard to see what he's thinking.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Jasmine was with the girls looking at the venue, and she brought up what I love to bring up every episode too, and that's the fact of this promise ring situation. And it pissed me off again. It pissed me off even more because she then talks more about losing her dad, because we found out that she lost her dad maybe a couple of episodes back, but she talked about how that whole day happened, meaning her birthday party and the fake proposal. She said that when Zay pulled that stunt, her dad actually confronted her and was like, he didn't even talk to me about having your hand in marriage. Like, we even have this conversation. And she was like, no, Dad, we're not getting married. It wasn't an engagement ring. It was just a gift. And then she said not too long after that, he passed away. And you can tell she is really struggling with not just losing her dad, of course, but also struggling with the fact that she did not get engaged while he was still here. And if that would have been an engagement, that he probably would have been able to make it to the wedding.
Right.
And she would have the opportunity to have her dad walk her down the aisle. And it breaks my heart. And I can't say I feel what you're saying, but I am completely empathetic. And it made me even more mad because I'm just kind of like, I get it. And Zay cannot control, like, her dad passing away. That's not what I'm saying at all. But as far as we're adults and life is really hitting us, and life can go just like that. Things change instantly. And so for you to play like that, to me, because to me it's just like playing. Like, I don't understand at all what that was. And to get her feelings and her hopes up in that moment. I can only imagine the adrenaline that was rushing through her in the moment. I know that as women, how we could feel about even the thought of getting proposed to. And it just kind of takes it away. Like, but I told y'all weeks ago, I would have broke up with him then. So, yeah, I would have broke up with him. But she started crying when she was talking to the girls about it. And like my heart really um really went out to her. And she also started crying again at the end of the episode when they did their group session with Dr. Stacy talking about it. Like she said, I don't know when her dad passed exactly. I think on one of her dates she said last year from when they were taping. So it's still very fresh, and I don't think you can ever completely get used to losing a parent.
Right.
So Jasmine, I really hope that I think she's definitely gonna decide to stay with Zay.
Hmm.
We said that last episode. I think she is. Um, Girl, I just hope that it's really what you want. That's all I got, Jasmine. I just really hope it's what you want. And you're able to get what you want. And I'm trying not to do the timeline thing, but it's definitely giving like I'll propose to you, you'll be engaged, but we'll be engaged for a good 10 years. That's Zay kind of comes off like that type. So I just hope you get what you desire.
And so to our last couple that we have not forgotten about, Ricky and Catherine. On this
Mm-hmm.
episode, Ricky met up with his dad for some advice and a little venting session. Um, I don't know. Listen to their conversation. I just still feel Ricky's not there. Um, I'll just be honest with y'all. Ricky has so much self stuff, bro. It's. I feel like he has so much doubt in his mind. I feel like he's going through the motions. I feel like he's dragging his feet. I feel like he's like, well, wishful thinking. We'll see what happens. Like, there's no sense of urgency. Um, I don't know. I feel like he just treating her like the homegirl. Like, I'm surprised that sometimes I don't even realize they're together.
So his conversation with his dad, he asked his dad a couple of questions. One was, is there something that he should look for? He's asking his dad because his dad is still married, I'm assuming, to his mom. He also asked him, um, how did he know, meaning his dad, how did you know, dad, that you were ready? Right? The dad didn't really say, to be quite honest, the dad really didn't say like anything worth like diving into. Like it really wasn't. Like I feel like his response to um like what he should look for, his response was like looking for somebody that has your back. That's basically gonna hold you down when times get rough, and like
Yeah.
when they argue, making sure that they're not just shooting daggers, like stuff like basic stuff like that. Here's my thing, and here's my problem with those two questions. I Those are two questions to me that somebody would ask that is getting married or getting engaged for the first time. Ricky has been married before.
Mm-hmm.
Forgive me, guys, but I am very annoyed by this couple. Now, at this point, I'm annoyed by it because I feel like there has been a lot of focus on Kat. Even Kat is focused a lot on her, what she's supposed to do, right? Like you're supposed to be doing the self work. But when Kat was talking to the girls at the venue,
Mm-hmm.
Jasmine basically said like, she feels like they're a great couple, but she like, let's be realistic. I just don't think that they're ready. And she also told Kat, like, there's been times like she has said some like really hurtful things to Ricky, like within session. And I'm sitting there like, are they editing stuff out?
It must be stuff that's not being said.
Yeah, it has to be. Because do you feel like Kat has said something in session or even on the show that is like deep, like super hurtful? Because that's how they
Yeah.
were making it
I feel like
seem.
the mostest thing she says doesn't have much context. Like, we need more detail on. Like,
Right.
nothing. I don't feel nothing malicious
Right.
or anything to that nature.
Right. And Kat is like, because like Kat was like crying a lot in this episode, and like really emotional about it. Like you can see her trying to do the self work. And I feel like it's been like that for the last couple of episodes. But she, at one point, she's crying in her confessional and she's saying, you know, I know that Ricky basically is getting tired of, I guess, having to deal with my traumas and just a lot of the self work that I have to do. And I am getting so annoyed by the narrative or all of the focus being on Kat. And nobody has yet asked the question of why did he get a divorce the first time? Or nobody's asked the question, what made you think it was the right thing to do to move your girlfriend that's out of state into your family home
Right.
with your parents? I don't like, to me, it hasn't been enough focus on that. And that's very key to me because I said it from at the very first review and I'm going to say it now. They are on the wrong show. Why are we even talking about marriage? Why are we talking about marriage? The first step should be getting a place together, finding the independence as a couple, creating that foundation.
Well, you know, I think it's through the episodes. I felt like that talk where we saw Kat talking to her dad and her grandma.
Yeah.
I felt like the past couple episodes we've kind of gotten a little more detail of Kat, just Kat,
Yeah.
and her obstacles in the past. You know, her emotions from the past, and kind of some whys and why this, why that.
Yeah.
For some reason, like I said, Ricky's been able to dodge a whole lot and lay low from a whole
You
lot.
see it? You feel that too?
He's been very, and people have let him get away with these answers that has an endpoint to him.
I feel that. Like, and I felt like it was just me. I see, like, please put this in, at least put this in the comments, guys, because y'all don't be commenting. Seriously, do y'all, like, are we wrong? Not just me, but are y'all not feeling that way? I truly want to know. Like, I just feel like we have skipped a lot when it comes to Ricky. I still have unanswered questions. And like even down to the whole intimacy and chivalry and romance, right? Like we've talked about that with Jasha. We've talked about that with Zay, even when it communication and all this other stuff. But when it comes to Ricky, Kat has said that from the beginning, and I still feel like it hasn't been addressed to the point where even throughout this process, has he improved? Like when they go home,
They haven't said anything.
like I just something is missing with them, and I don't know why we're still not getting the full picture
Right.
on his part. She's like
No,
bare now.
He's gotten away with a lot. He's gotten
right.
away.
So Marcus and Kat go on a fourth date. And Marcus is coming even stronger. Like, Kat did start off, she asked him, like, you know, what is his plans for the next 2 years, right? And he says that, you know, he's really focusing on building these businesses and also building something with his partner, like his lady. He plans to be in a relationship and committed and loving on his partner. And Marcus is like, you know, he's in his confessional saying like, I don't even know why she with Ricky. Like he makes a comment and was like, he barely is taking care of his outside family
and his child.
That's what I'm saying. His outside family. Or he said he's barely taking care of. No, rewind. He's taking care. He has a whole outside family that he has to take care of, and he's barely taking care of himself. Like it was something along those lines. Like it was a lot of shade.
He said he can't even take care of Catherine.
Right, he can't take care of Catherine, and like how she needs somebody that, you know, shows her just how beautiful and valuable she is, and like all of these things again that we want to hear.
Mm-hmm.
And at this point, and I've liked Marcus up in, throughout these last few days, but I felt like this time I was like, is he laying it on too thick? Is this really real? I definitely like them together, but I also feel like I am really cheering Kat on to choose herself. I truly feel like she needs to choose herself and work on herself, continue to work on herself. So she just doesn't repeat patterns. Um, because being with Ricky for 10 years, she said it's been 10 years. And giving him 10 years of your life and your time, I feel like there's a lot of things that you need to undo instead of jumping into another committed relationship right away. So just take just a little bit of time on continuing to work on yourself. But she made a comment. She even said like Ricky has said to her multiple times, like, oh, it's like we already married. And she's like, it shouldn't feel that way. And it shouldn't.
Mm-hmm.
But I also feel like this might be an unpopular opinion. I mean, listen, nowadays people really be getting the roles mixed up between girlfriend and wife. And I'm a girlfriend, so I can say that. But understand, I'm not around here acting like a wife. I'm not a wife. And I feel like there's a difference. And everybody can feel the way how they can feel however you can feel however you want to feel about that.
No,
But
I feel the same way. Like I said, I'm not a husband. There's certain things that, as a wife, there's certain things that a girl gets, from a guy when he's husband status.
I
You're
just
not gonna you're not getting husband perks when I'm not your husband.
you can definitely give off that energy, right? Like I'm definitely wifey material, right? You could definitely say that. You could do that. But what I'm saying is I feel like those lines definitely be getting blurred these days. I really do. I feel like there is a bit like we be really going hard as girlfriends. Like we be going hard. Like we wifey. And I'm just like, we ain't that. Like she at the house taking care of his kids. And she said that. And she moved from a whole nother state.
Well, but for her, that may just be part of her nature. That's her personality. You know, she
Right.
may be one of the people that love children. So for her, it's like I'm here. Let me do this for them.
But she has brought it up in a way of like she is expecting something in return. And so then when he says to her like, well, it's like we already married, of course he feel like, oh, like, yeah, we like already married because we done been together for dang
Well,
near
and
10 years.
that's just me personally. That's part of. I already told you I don't believe Ricky won't get married again. I really feel he's on that lifelong partner bullcrap. And for him, with that comment, that kind of shows where his head is.
Yeah.
We're already married. Like, oh, we've been together 10 years, lifelong partner. I truly don't feel Ricky wants to go through that process again.
Yeah. And I, again, reiterating what we said earlier, it's like, what did you learn the first time?
Yeah.
Because we don't know.
Right.
All he said, it was just really bad.
He kept it lip shut.
Right.
And
So
that's so funny too. Like these sessions, out of the other couples, remind me, Jaysha was married before.
yes.
Joya was married before, or no?
Sure. I'm not sure. I know she has a son, but I'm not sure
Yeah,
she was
but
married.
I'm just, out of all things, I'm just surprised. Even Dr. Stacy did not dig into what happened in that past marriage.
Yeah.
Because I mean, let's be real. She was digging in Zay ass, trying to get him to open his
Right.
mouth and really, as well as Jaysha too,
Shaysha.
really got him to actually say something, get some words of how he felt.
She's been, holding Kat
Mm-hmm.
accountable. She's been holding Joya accountable. We just saw that in this episode and in other episodes. She's held Jasmine accountable when it comes to certain things. But it's something about Ricky to me. It's something about
Like
Ricky that I feel
he
like,
slid this whole season.
right. And that's not just on Dr. Stacy. I'm just saying
No.
everybody. I just feel like even from what the little bit of rumblings I'm hearing on the social media streets, it's still like focus on Kat and what she's doing wrong. And that's fair, fine. Like, it takes two. It takes two to create chaos, definitely. But Ricky, like, what we gotta say about Ricky? that's just how I feel about it. So, am I rooting for them? No, I'm not rooting for them to continue to be in the same space that in how they came into the process. I'm rooting for them as individuals. I truly think that there's just a lot of self-work that they both have to do. And I really hope that Ricky's able to figure out whatever he has going on. I hope that he's able to figure that out as well.
Yeah.
So that's that. Now the episode ended with them because as Dr. Stacy was talking to Kat in the group session, she asked her, like, how did your date go with Marcus? And she's talking about like how it went really great and this, that, and the third. And then they get to a point where she just starts like bawling, crying. And I can't remember exactly what question Dr. Stacy asked Kat, but it was nothing to like make her cry, but it kind of stopped everything. And Dr. Stacy said, like, Kat, what's wrong? And the episode goes off with her saying, I just know who I want to be with now. And I think when we pick up this week, she gonna say Ricky. I know I want to be with Ricky. And that's unfortunate.
Yeah, I felt like she's crying because, Marcus may be a good guy. She feel like she hurting him because he did all this. I feel like it's Ricky. I mean.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be something corny like that. Like, I was like, this is not a good cliffhanger, but that's my predictions on this. Like we said, this Friday is the season finale.
So my predictions.
Yeah, I was going to ask you your predictions.
Joya and Jaisha, they're fine.
Yeah.
Zay and Jasmine, they will be fine. I think Zay's gonna wake up and realize what day it is and what time it is and where he should be at. So I feel like he'll be fine. I feel like I said, I feel like Catherine's gonna choose Ricky. Ricky's gonna get on a knee and open up a box that has a piece of paper or a Fruit Loop and offer the ability to be lifelong partners. And, that's up to Catherine right there. What about you?
Oh, at my predictions. I mean, it's pretty much the same. I definitely think Jaisha is I don't even think we need to talk about Jaisha and Joya. We know what that's about to do. Right. And it's going to be a big proposal too, because that's just freaking Jaisha. But Zay and Jasmine, I think Zay is definitely going to propose. I said that, and I think that Jasmine is going to say yes. Now Kat and Ricky, I don't know what's gonna happen, but I'm telling you it can go one or two ways. Either he is going to propose and she's gonna say yes because she wants to remain stagnant, or he's gonna propose and she's gonna say no, and it's because she is deciding to work on herself, and that none of this whole process wasn't in vain. That's what I think. That's what I think. Well, we could be wrong, because who are we?
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we will see. The finale is this week. I'm ready to see. I feel like this is going to be a surprise. I feel like this is going to be a wrinkle.
I hope so.
Something that we didn't think of.
Let's get some spice.
Yeah. But we do appreciate y'all for tuning in to once again another episode of Reality Check TV.
Yes.
Y'all don't forget to like and subscribe down below. Follow us on our social media platforms. And of course, y'all be playing. Don't forget to leave those comments.
Yes.
Any last words for our community?
Just we love you guys because you're showing support in many different ways, so we love you guys, and we're so excited because this is actually our first show that we started and we're about to end, so this is like really a little cute little milestone.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have been hanging in with us since the first review up until what's going to be our last one in the next couple of weeks, because I'm pretty sure we're going to review the reunions. Not pretty sure, we are. We're going to review the reunion. But I don't know, like my heart is definitely full because I definitely see that we are getting a lot of support in many different ways and some views. So just make sure you guys subscribe. We do have a very small goal of making it to 100 subscribers by the end of May. Please help us out, guys. And not only subscribe, but once you subscribe, make sure that you're sharing with your friends, your family, post it on your social media. Like that would be a great way to help us out as well. We have a monthly goal, and then if we meet that monthly goal, we can do our 500 subscriber goal for the summer. That's going to be our summer goal. So all of the support is definitely needed and appreciated. We love you guys so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
And on that note, y'all be safe in these streets.
Yes.
And we will see y'all for the finale.
Bye.